behind closed doors. I'm a fool for your love.
Hi guys, another Geek123 here. So today I'm going to go through the history and my thoughts on the very controversial news about Spider-Man and his film rights between Sony and Marvel, resulting of him maybe going out with the MCU. So let's get into it. This all started in 1996. Yes, 1996, sorry. When Marvel was on the very edge of closing down everything from losing a lot of money in comic book sales due to crazy writers' storylines losing interests from the fans. It resulted to them finding some cash from selling movie rights of their famous characters, since they were not interested in making movies. The plan from it was to sell them to companies that would make money and make movies out of the characters, and make money for Marvel with merchandise and have more sales in comic books from when the movie's released. They ended up selling X-Men and Fantastic Four to Fox, which has created its own story down the road. And after many talks, Sony ended up buying Spider-Man in 1999. After up to 2007, Sony created the Spider-Man trilogy, which was successful in money, but the last one wasn't so much for critics and led to many problems with the fourth and fifth movie getting cancelled. But under the terms of the deal, Sony had to produce a Spider-Man movie every couple of years, or the rights would go back to Marvel, who was creating their own movies at the time with Iron Man. This led to Sony not wanting to go off their cash cow character, rebooting the franchise into the Amazing Spider-Man movies, which wasn't very successful compared to the original trilogy with cash and criticism. Sony was desperate after creating movie ideas which was teased in the second movie to keep the character and make more money. For example, sequels, a Sinister Six movie, a female web slingers movie, a Venom movie, and even a young Aunt May spy movie. All these projects eventually got cancelled, but the Venom movie, strangely enough, after the Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out. But around the same time, the Sony email hacks happened, which revealed that these movies were cancelled because they were in the talks with Kevin Feige, who set up the successful MCU, about rebooting the character once again, but in the MCU this time. Interviews apparently didn't go well, but they did end up reaching an agreement in 2015 and announced the character would be rebooted. Under the agreements behind the scenes, Sony would carry on having final creative control of future solo Spider-Man movies, but Marvel would produce the film as a creative lead. This meant that Marvel would put the character as a supportive character in different movies like Avengers movie or solo movies for different characters, but when it came to solo movies, they would create the story, but it would be up to Sony if it was the final story for the solo movie basically. Sony could also create spin-offs which wouldn't be a part of the MCU, such as Venom, which they finally actually released, and the Morbius film that they are currently making. They could also create animated films which also wouldn't be a part of the MCU, like the Spider-Verse film. They are finally released and they're planned spin-offs and sequels. Everything also went well with the character having a well-received start in Civil War, making more money than the Amazing Spider-Man movies from his first solo movie, Homecoming, finally becoming an Avenger in Infinity War and Endgame, and being the first Spider-Man movie to make Sony have a $1 billion movie from box office with Far From Home. Director John Watts of both solo movies and actor Tom Holland were respected by a lot of fans as well. A couple of days ago from this recording, according to many news articles, Disney and Sony were trying to settle on a new agreement since the last one just ended after Far From Home, and it was said they would agree on a new one this time round. It was said the disagreements happened due to Disney wanting more money since Far From Home made $1 billion, which was and wasn't expected behind the scenes. They wanted to do a 50-50 split from the box office money. It meant that they wanted to split the movie to create their films as well. The money to create the films. But Disney and Marvel already got money from merchandise, which makes money all year and gets 5% of profits from the opening day, which creates loads of money as well. Management of Sony, however, Tom Rothman and Tony Vicura disagreed and said that the original deal was fair and they wanted to carry on with that one. However, Disney wouldn't go back to that deal and said Spider-Man wouldn't be staying without a new deal. And this has now resulted with Sony standing their ground and with Spider-Man going out the MCU, according to headlines. But still, Sony is apparently going to create potential 2 future movies starring Tom Holland still, and still be directed by John Watts, which is very crazy. Before I go into my personal opinion, this isn't really with the contract between Disney and Marvel itself, but there's been a couple of things on social media that have came out, including a very crazy one, which will be the last one. Sony has actually made a actual statement about all of this, but Marvel hasn't. And Sony did this pretty quickly 2 days ago, about, I think it was 5 hours or 10 hours after the headlines started coming out about it. And they put in a thread, much of today's news about Spider-Man has mischaracterized recent discussions about Kevin Feige's involvement in the franchise. We are disappointed but respect Disney's decision not to have him continue as a lead producer of our next live-action Spider-Man film. We hope this might change in the future, but understand that there are many new responsibilities that Disney has given him, including all their newly added Marvel properties. Do not allow time for him to work on in properties that they do not own. Kevin is terrific and we are grateful for the help and guidance and appreciate the path that this has helped us form, which we will continue. Funnily enough as well, reading that out from the Twitter, there is a Far From Home re-release with I think it's the fight scene that they were going to put in the DVD out, like they did with Endgame with deleted scenes. And I think that it's still going on forward. Sony and Disney haven't announced that that's getting cancelled, that re-release is still coming out. And yeah, from that statement it sounds like they've sort of twisted the behind the scenes thing to make it look like Disney are the total villains and that they said that Kevin Feige couldn't be involved because of him working on new properties, which isn't true by the sounds of it. It sounds like it's because of money disagreements between Disney and Sony why they've decided not to make Kevin Feige producer anymore. And let me think. Yeah, this re-release is still coming out by the sounds of it. Next sort of news is that it's been headlines coming out saying that Disney and Sony still have time to sort something out and carry on this character in the MCU before the third Spider-Man starts getting made, which is very true, and I'll get into that later on. This is unscripted now, so this is why it's a little bit awkward. Yeah, Stan Lee's daughters came out and said that she sides with Sony on this one, surprisingly, and says that her father was very disrespected by Marvel and Disney before he died, and that they didn't even contact his family after he died, which I don't know. I can't remember if there was an official statement online about it, but I think that I don't know if it's true because Stan Lee and his daughters have had a bit of controversy in the past before he died. So I don't want to get into that since that's more about Stan Lee and the company's involvement, and I don't really think her coming out the woodworks about it is about the right itself. It's just her wanting to sort of push the thing about her father's legacy into it, which is important but then not important with the film rights. Jeremy Renner, I can't remember what he posted. He posted a long paragraph saying how he wants Spider-Man back with Marvel, which just got a lot of fans' respect back on him. But yeah, I do want him back with Marvel, but you gotta think this is all about business, it isn't about who he should be with. And then the final news is, funnily enough, the weirdest one. Tom Holland, a couple of days ago, did unfollow Sony from social media, but he posted on Instagram a couple of hours ago from me recording photos of Robert Downey Jr. with the caption, "We did it, Mr. Stark," which has got a lot of fans questioning, have the actors behind the scenes ended up making the company sort something out and they just haven't announced it yet? With a banner being released as a picture with Spider-Man still being on the Marvel banner alongside Captain Marvel and Iron Man for the D23 happening this weekend, making people think, is this either a publicity stunt made out of this serious situation, or is all of it a publicity stunt to just announce Spider-Man carrying on full on with Marvel? Which could be the fact. But in my own opinion, I think this isn't a publicity stunt. Maybe they can make an announcement out of it like they are being teased at the minute with Tom Holland's pictures. But honestly, I personally think both parties are in the wrong with this. I even see people saying, oh, Disney's just greedy, they want to make all this money out of all these properties, including Fox now. And I see people going, no, Disney aren't in the wrong, Sony shouldn't be holding on to this character anymore, it's not theirs, they just borrowed it from 1990s, which isn't true either. I think that in business way to me is, never mind my thoughts on whether he should be in the MCU or not, is that yes, Marvel help a lot with this, and yes, I feel like other than merchandise they should make more than 5% from just the opening day from the movie itself. And I get merchandise makes money all year, but it is sort of their property in whole than just movie rights. And yeah, I think Sony, I should have gave them, I know it's not their fault about it, but Sony should think about giving them a little bit more money out of it with the movie's marketing. I think Sony should. I don't think they could have done anything, 'cause it seems like, yeah, Disney did shut it down after the wait. No, we won't go with that. We're wanting to go back to the original deal, which is fair enough. But I feel like the contract should be changed if they ever change it and get him back with Marvel. Is that I feel like instead of 5% with just one day, I feel like Marvel should make about 3 to 5% of the whole profit of the movie, since they do make the movie and Sony just sit back and go, yeah, that's a good idea for a solo movie. And do I think he's going to work without the MCU if they do carry on making Tom Holland movies and they stay on with John Watts and him? Maybe. I don't, mostly in my heart I say no, but there is a chance they could make it work, which is being explained in many videos, so I'm not going to go into that unless people really ask me to. But that's my final thoughts. Both parties are in the wrong. They need to make something before the third Spider-Man movie gets any production or development started. I pray that does happen, because I care about this character, and they just need to sort something out. Both parties are in the wrong. I don't want to argue about it in the comments if anyone's thinking about doing that, but that's just my opinion about it all, and I hope you guys respect that. I hope you like the history about this whole contract instead of just it being with news articles talking about what it was for just leading up to Civil War to this situation. That's all I have to say. So thank you guys for watching. Peace.
up.